So my name is Makayla. I am 25. That sounds crazy coming out of my mouth. Just recently turned 25. I'm a student at Algoma. Liz is my mom, as she mentioned earlier. And I'm going to share a little bit about things that are actually a part of my everyday life. And kind of a background story of each piece that I have here. So I guess I'll start off with the raw products that we would have used even a long time ago. This is a piece of leather, I would say moose, yeah. And from this, this was life way back before contact. We used it for everything. Housing, shelter, keeping warm, there's a few other things over here that I'm going to talk about too this would be used for. Here I have a little bit of black ash. This is not the bark, but
right under the bark.
Yeah, the layer underneath the bark of the tree. And this is harvested to make baskets, black ash baskets. So this one I started a while ago. Never really finished, but my mom decided to keep it for her show and tell, as a few other things that she has too that I started and never finished. But a long time ago, these baskets would be made so tightly that they could carry water, they could carry medicines, food, berries when we would gather them. That is the bottom. This is one of the first ones I made actually, so it's very different, but yeah. And then from these, like right here, we have tried to use every part of the animal that we could. This would be a deer foot hoof. So when we would hunt, nowadays you see at powwows, these would be part of our dance outfit regalia. The men would wear them up here like that, and then they would be, I'm dropping them.
Okay.
They would have beadwork or quill work, actually, what Justin's going to show you there. These are something from up north. I don't know the story behind them.
Yeah, the story of what Makayla's holding, actually, I was doing some work among the Alaskan people, and in our custom, when exchange happens, so I was sharing knowledge and working in the community, most oftentimes gift exchange happens. So the gift of knowledge, I received these as a gift because I was pregnant with my daughter. And then when she was born, because I still worked up there, they decided that it would be good for her to have some boots made from the animals indigenous to that area. So those are sealskin boots given as a gift. And when you look at harvesting, there are different animals in current day, so 2020, that might be on the endangered list that are not allowed to be harvested, and I believe seal is one of them, Alaskan seal is one of them. Back almost 30 years ago, when I first came into contact with that community who gifted these to me, that was their livelihood, that was their sustenance, and so this was a natural part of what they did in their life.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about these boots. We kind of have a cross-section of different crafts that you would see throughout Canada, the different groups of tribal people. This is from the west. This is actually a buffalo horn, and it is a sculpture that my mom and dad got for their wedding, I believe. And then we have
acrostics. So
Little tiny versions.
yeah, as a part of this show and tell demonstration, one of the things that we like to do is we like to share that there are a number of different ways for us to take care of ourselves, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And so for us as Indigenous people, and in particular our Iroquoian friends, relatives, Six Nations people, the Mohawk people, this was a game that they carried, a lot of teachings around that game. And so when we're looking at different craft products, different things that help bring about that good life, we try to show a cross-section of all those different things. So for us as Ojibwe up here, we had stick games. For our people way in the north, they also had games. These were things that attended to our well-being in terms of physical. Makayla is going to share with you another miniature version of something that we use in this area.
So these are snowshoes. As I said a little bit earlier, we tried to utilize every part of the animal that we harvested. So these are made out of sinew. Obviously, there's a very, very small version of what would be made to actually use. These were given to my grandma, my mom shared with me, and she uses them for our show and tell purposes now. But sinew is actually a part of the intestine of an animal. It's very, very strong. It's not like thread. It does not just snap. So yeah, that's what those are made out of. And then we have
Southwest pottery.
Yeah, this is a Southwest pottery. Actually, I think I brought this back from my mom when I went and visited down in that area. I think I got it in Arizona, actually. And also a very small miniature version. These typically are made out of their red clay that is down there, and their pots can be huge, like very, very, very big, and they're beautiful, painted. And then we have some of the more common things that you would see from my culture nowadays is beadwork. Beads we did not have here. They were an object of trade a long time ago. So this is just a lanyard. We also have beaded earrings, our beadwork for our traditional outfits. And yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about these books. A lot of them actually I've had in my life since I was little. This one I remember from when I was younger, but my mom talked a little bit about how these things went into hiding. It was actually illegal to have any of these things, to practice any of these ways in my mom's lifetime, which is pretty crazy when I think about it now. I shared earlier that I'm a student at Algoma, and my major is actually in Anishinaabe Studies. So the fact that I'm in Algoma, which was a past residential school, and I'm getting my degree in Anishinaabe Studies is actually really cool. And yeah. So now we have authors that are writing down our history, that are talking about our different ways of life, and there's lots of different sources now, so it's great.
Those two books there in particular, Makayla, those two up, that one and the blue one. The other thing that's really cool to share with you is, as Makayla's indicated, in the in looking at cultural training, or looking at understanding and building bridges, building relationships, there are a number of Western institutions of gathering knowledge, so whether they're scholarly, whether they are of interest and the federal government decides to put money into it, documents now that are being written and distributed right across the land that help promote education. So this book right here was actually pulled together, and it talks about the different treaties and what they mean, and how those relationships were nation to nation. The other book that Makayla is holding is a book that was put forward by the Government of Canada, and it talks about helping people understand some of the things that we're talking about here, Native spirituality. I've had lots of people ask, okay, so what's the correct way to refer to First Nations people? Is it Native? Is it Indian? Is it Anishinaabe? First Nation? Indigenous? There are so many words, throughout my lifetime that I've heard, and I would say right now in 2020, First Nation, Métis, and Inuit is how our federal government acknowledges the relation that we have with them. And it's important, I think, for you locally, wherever you might be, to approach those people to ask, how would you like to be addressed, and then learn and build relations that way. So I don't know, Makayla, maybe you could show that picture and bring it close up, to Nicole and or Kathy. This picture is to show you about those little warriors of the next generation. One of the things that's so important for us as Indigenous people, as First Nation, Métis, and Inuit right across Turtle Island, is the importance of thinking about the generations to come, and how, as Makayla's indicated, in my lifetime, I've been able to see movement from when things were not allowed to be, to where a lot of activism happened with my mom, my dad in that time in the 70s and 80s, and certainly right to current day, modern day conflicts, protests, education, sit-ins have happened. And it's important to note that we do that for that next generation and the next 7 generations in particular. There are lots of ways for you to learn, for you to find out more about what we have here. This is just a small sampling of our own collection of our everyday life. This is a part of our life, and we're so thankful that we could share it with you.